Welcome to Clue Trail, where true stories unravel one step at a time. From crimes and cults to survival stories and the downright strange, we follow the twists that lead to the truth. If you're enjoying the show, check out Patreon for bonus episodes and early access. Just search Clue Trail or hit the link in the show notes. And don't forget to follow, rate, or review the podcast. It helps more curious minds find us. Now, let's dive into today's case. On the evening of May 20th, 1999, Betty Ketani left her shift at a local restaurant in Johannesburg and never came home. There were no signs of struggle, no witnesses, just silence. For years, Betty's family lived with questions. Her 3 children, still so young, were left behind to grow up without answers. Her siblings searched, waited, and hoped, but as the time passed, her case grew cold. Still, for those who loved her, Betty never disappeared. She lived on in memories, in missed birthdays, in every unanswered call, in every quiet hope that one day she'd walk back through the door. This is the story of Betty Ketani, a story about absence, about truth buried in the unlikeliest of places, and about what it means to lose someone without a chance to say goodbye. Today, on Clue Trail, we go beyond the headlines and courtrooms, back to the woman behind the case, because long before her name appeared in a police file or a hidden confession, Betty mattered. Before her name became tied to a criminal investigation, Betty Ketani was just Betty. She was a single mother of 2 who moved from Queenstown in the Eastern Cape to Johannesburg in search of work in her mid-20s. Like many others during that era, she left her family behind, driven by hope and necessity to find new opportunities. In Johannesburg, she adopted her Christian name, Betty, and she found work as a domestic housekeeper and later on as a head chef at a restaurant. Colleagues remember her as kind, always standing up for herself and others. She would always try to help if she could. Betty was seen as a mother figure. She would often call the younger women around her "my children," and they loved her for it. Her food became a staple comfort for the waitresses. Like many others working there, Betty was undocumented, paid in cash, and now, by 1999, she was also a mother of 3. Her first 2 children lived back in Queenstown, and her youngest, just a baby, at that time stayed with Betty's mother in Johannesburg. Whenever they visited, Betty made sure they were the center of attention. They were allowed to eat anything they wanted at the restaurant, and even Eric, the restaurant owner, would sometimes slip them some cash in envelopes before they left. Betty loved that job. It gave her a way to provide. She sent money home every month without fail and never returned to Queenstown empty-handed. She would always bring gifts with her, and she gave her children what she could, when she could. Her daughter would later say, "She wasn't just our mother, she was our home." Betty came from a close-knit family, and she made sure to always keep in contact with her siblings and other family members. She was known for checking in, calling to ask how people were doing, even if her own days were difficult. That was just the kind of person she was. So, when she didn't come home that night in 1999, when she missed the bedtime routine, the early shift, the next family phone call, her absence wasn't just noticed, it was alarming. Because Betty Ketani didn't vanish, she was taken. On the night of May 20th, 1999, Betty finished her shift at the restaurant. She wasn't having a good night. As you see, by that year, things began to change for the worst at the restaurant. The day-to-day conditions hadn't changed dramatically. Eric would still make everyone work long hours, withheld tips, and pay abysmal wages. But now, there were also rumors of theft and firings and private investigators being brought around. The atmosphere has definitely grown uneasy with the amount of rumors and accusations flying around, and many believed the change coincided with the arrival of Eric's family from Australia, particularly his daughter, Monique, who had now begun working at the restaurant as well. Even Betty, the most loyal of employees, had begun to speak out. She was now caught in a dispute with her employers for speaking out, demoted by Monique, and made to wash dishes and take out the trash despite her role as head cook and the many years of service. That night, whilst taking out the trash, she confided in her close friend at the restaurant about the hard time she was having. Betty vented her frustrations. She was even thinking about the CCMA ruling in her favor, which is the function assessing unfair treatment in the workplace, and how, after this ruling, she can confront the owners to address her unfair treatment. Quitting this job at that point wasn't an option. She was financially strained, having to rely on her boyfriend for transport and groceries. Still, Betty tried to stay hopeful, promising to talk more the next day. "See you tomorrow," she said. The next morning, Betty didn't show up for work. At first, when she didn't show up for the morning shift, no one really panicked. Her colleagues assumed she'd had a few too many drinks the night before. Maybe she wanted to unwind from the stress of the day. Still, as the hours passed, and then a full day, there was still no sign of her. At the restaurant, they wondered if she'd met someone new and left town. But none of it made sense, at least not to those who really knew her. Betty was a mother, a good mother. She would never abandon her children. Back at home, her younger sister was already worried. Betty had never disappeared like this before, not even for a full day. She would always tell her where she is going. Knowing this isn't normal, she called her brother, as Betty and her brother Ronnie were very close and spoke regularly. Betty had never left town without telling him first. He immediately began making calls, spoke with Betty's boyfriend at the time, and he confirmed the last time he saw Betty was the morning of May 20th. She had come by to pick up some money, went home to change, and left for work. Ronnie had spoken to her just the day before. She had told him about the CCMA ruling in her favor, and more importantly, she was preparing for a confrontation with her bosses. That's the last time anyone heard from her. All her siblings now joined to help with the search. They checked her flat and they found her ID was still there, her clothes, her belongings. There was no sign she left town. Everything she owned was still in the flat. If she did leave, she left with nothing but the clothes she was wearing. The family started retracing her steps, talking to friends, checking hospitals, police stations, even mortuaries. They even went to the restaurant, and Eric, the owner, claimed to know nothing about Betty's disappearance. What was odd was that, according to a waitress, he made it very clear he didn't want his staff speaking to the family either. He even told her directly not to talk with Betty's family. 9 days after Betty vanished, Ronnie walked into the Hillbrow police station and opened a missing persons case. He filled out the form, gave them everything he knew, and hoped it would be enough. On the 31st of May 1999, the paperwork for Betty Ketani's missing persons report finally landed on the desk of an investigator. That same day, orders were given to begin interviewing her friends and family. A photo of Betty, smiling with her friends, was even sent to Pretoria for circulation. And then, nothing but a note, person still missing. By September, the officer tried to call Betty's brother, but claimed there was no answer. And by December, as Betty's children prepared for their first Christmas without their mother, the final update was entered in the case file. Reporter not available. That was it. 4 diary entries, fewer than 20 words. That was the whole investigation done on finding her. No one from the restaurant was ever interviewed, no follow-up with Betty's friends, home visits. No one even questioned her boyfriend. The entire investigation was shelved and forgotten. Police did absolutely nothing to find what happened to Betty, and this is outrageous. But then, on the final day of March 2012, inside an ordinary home in southern Johannesburg, a long-buried secret finally came to light, and with it, everything changed. For 13 years, the name Betty Ketani faded from public memory. Her family mourned without a grave. Her children grew up with questions no one could answer. They tried to get on with their lives, but Betty never left their thoughts. But sometimes, secrets unravel, because truth and justice, although delayed, always finds a way to resurface. This time, it started with a house renovation. On the evening of 31st of March 2012, a group of neighbors were helping pull up old carpet tile inside a home in Kenilworth, Johannesburg. The work was messy, it was hot, some tiles were still damp with old dog urine, but the group kept at it, moving from room to room. As they crawled into the main bedroom near the front of the house, something unusual caught one of the men's attention beneath one of the tiles. It was a bundle of papers, folded together, tucked away, looked like it was deliberately hidden. All the men gathered and one of them unfolded the top page. In dusty letters, a warning was scrawled across it. Do not throw away. At first glance, the letter seemed cryptic, but as they opened the pages, it became clear this was no ordinary note. It was a confession, and not a subtle one. During the course of the investigation, several people were abducted and tortured, namely Themba Tsabalala, Betty Ketani, and Naba Biebe, the first line said. The people in the house were completely shocked. This didn't seem real. It seemed like a plot twist in a film. But it wasn't. This letter was a confession to the horrific murder of Betty. So, let's go over what happened that night. According to the letter, Betty Ketani didn't just vanish, as everyone claimed at the restaurant. She was taken. That night, on May 20th, as she left work, she was approached in Rosebank by two men, Mark and Warren Williams. Mark was dressed in an army uniform, giving their approach the appearance of authority. Without realizing the danger she was in, Betty was abducted and taken to a small house. There, she was assaulted, slapped around for hours, according to the confession. Eventually, she was left in the care of Carrington Lofton. He is the man who actually wrote the letter. Carrington, accompanied by another man named Conway, then drove Betty further down the highway and attempted to kill her. This was believed to be around 25th of May 1999, so she was in that house for around 5 days. Miraculously, Betty survived and she was taken to a hospital. As she didn't have any ID with her, and because police didn't even bother to do the basic checks at that time, Betty was never found in the hospital. Weeks later, Betty regained consciousness. She had survived the attack, but suffered brain trauma and severe mental disorientation. Shockingly, when her abductors discovered she was alive, they returned for her. Carrington, along with now 2 police officers, Dave and Carol Ranger, posed as medical staff to remove her from the hospital. Using a rented van and a wheelchair, they transported her to a bus on a remote farm, a cold, isolated space where she was locked inside. Tragically, Betty died there during the night, alone, likely from the shock and untreated injuries. And sadly, we are not done. Mark, Monique, and Conway. Remember Monique, Eric's daughter, which caused all sorts of hell in that restaurant when she started working there? Well, these 3 lunatics returned later to dispose of Betty's body. Her body was secretly buried in Conway's back garden, sealed under a meter of cement. Her clothes and any remaining evidence were burned shortly after. This just sounds completely insane. The kidnapping and then the impersonations. This was a crime executed with chilling calculation. To me, this looks like the behavior of a psychopath. These people are monsters. There was no remorse and no respect for human life, for a mother. And for more than a decade, these crimes remain hidden, until that one night, when this letter was pulled out of that carpet. Finally, after the discovery of these letters, everything moved pretty quick in this investigation. Within weeks, 6 men, including Carrington, which was the author of the letter, and 2 brothers, Carell and David Ranger, were behind bars. One was a former policeman, and the other one was still in uniform. What followed was one of South Africa's most complex and challenging murder trials. The trial began in 2014 and ran until 2016. Unfortunately, it drew very little media attention. It was overshadowed by high-profile cases like Oscar Pistorius. But in that courtroom, prosecutors and detectives finally fought relentlessly for justice. Lead prosecutor Herman Broderick called dozens of witnesses. He needed every single testimony, as investigators had only 6 small bones, Betty's partial remains, to present as physical evidence, and that letter they found in the house. But with even little to none physical evidence, they made sure forensic were so advanced. They even involved DNA analysis in Bosnia and handwriting experts, which had to verify a mostly typed confession. The prosecutors couldn't leave anything to chance. Still, the case was built almost entirely on circumstantial evidence. The defense fought back hard. They filed endless legal challenges, introduced last-minute alibis, and dragged cross-examinations out for days. Carrington himself spent 13 days on the witness stand. But in the background, prosecutors and lead detective gave everything they had to finally bring justice for Betty. They investigated until the very end, even reopening the case late in trial to bring forward new witnesses. And finally, on the 2nd anniversary of the trial's start, the judgment came. Carrington was found guilty of murder. Carell and David Ranger were found guilty of culpable homicide. And 3 others, who participated in a way or another, turned state witness and finally helped seal the case. Betty's children and family were in the courtroom when the verdict was given. This was the moment they waited for so many years. Closure and the truth had finally come. Although today's case centers around Betty Ketani, she wasn't the only victim mentioned in this letter. A man, Themba, was abducted not once, but 3 separate times by the same circle of people. Posing as army officers, they beat and terrorized him, taking him from his home, his workplace, and even remote locations deep in the bush. Naba Bebe, believed to be a relative of Themba, was also targeted. He was abducted from his home in Beria by Mark and taken to Randburg police station. There, he was assaulted, this time with Carell and Monique also present. After that, they transported him to a remote patch of bushland near Four Ways. And then there was Maliemeli Mufu. He was abducted under the guise of a police arrest. Monique and Carrington posed as detectives, using fake IDs and uniforms, then took him to a hotel where he was held for 3 days. They filmed his questioning and moved him from one hotel room to another, treating the entire operation like some kind of covert game. He was eventually released, but only after enduring isolation and psychological torment. His only alleged crime? Being linked to one of Monique's stolen checks. These weren't isolated acts. This was a network of people carrying out abductions, impersonations, and torture with an appalling level of planning and coordination. And as you probably noticed, the same name keeps appearing over and over in these letters. And apart from Monique, everyone has been arrested. Why she wasn't charged is anyone's guess at this point. While her name was in the confession letter, Much of the evidence against her appears to have been circumstantial or second-hand. The typed confession was not signed, and Monique consistently denied involvement, and South African courts require strong corroborative evidence for criminal charges, especially in murder cases. Sometimes prosecutors make strategic decisions to secure convictions where evidence is significantly stronger. As the case already had multiple defendants, Carrington, the Ranger brothers, they might have chose to go with these cases first. Hope for full justice to be served is not over yet, though. The lead prosecutor has confirmed his intention to seek extradition of Monique, now living in Australia. He truly believes she was the mastermind behind Betty's abduction and murder. And I doubt this is the only crime she was involved. No one escalates like this out of nowhere. Also named in the confession letter, former Queensland police officer Mark Listner, is also being pursued. He has denied any involvement. These extraditions and arrests could finally mark the final step in holding all the perpetrators accountable, delivering long overdue justice not only for Betty and her loved ones, but for all the others whose lives were shattered by this group's actions. And so, the case of Betty Ketani, once buried beneath the carpet, both literally and figuratively, finally saw justice. After years of silence, hidden truths, and heartbreaking questions, her family was given answers. Not all of them, but enough to bring her home. Betty was a mother, a sister, a friend. She was more than a note in an investigator's journal or a docket number. She was a woman who deserved to live, to raise her children, to keep dancing, cooking, and laughing. Betty's story is a powerful reminder that justice can arrive at any time, from any place, even from beneath a dusty carpet tile on an ordinary evening when no one is expecting it.